a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. 2018 AFL Grand Final. The 2018 AFL Grand Final was an Australian rules football game contested between the West Coast Eagles and the Collingwood Football Club, held at the Melbourne Cricket Ground on the 29th of September 2018. It was the 122nd annual Grand Final of the Australian Football League, staged to determine the premiers for the 2018 AFL season. West Coast defeated Collingwood by 5 points. After having trailed by 29 points late in the first quarter, to win the club's fourth premiership and first since 2006. West Coast's Luke Shuey won the Norm Smith Medal as the player judged best on ground. The Grand Final was attended by 100,022 people, the largest crowd since the 1986 Grand Final. Background: beaten by in the previous season's semi-final, recorded its best season in 3 years, with a 16-6 win-loss record, to finish second on the ladder. The club hosted third placed in the second qualifying final at Perth Stadium, and overcame the Magpies by 16 points to advance to the preliminary final. There, the Eagles hosted Melbourne, and won comfortably by 66 points to advance to the Grand Final for the first time since losing the 2015 AFL Grand Final to had missed the finals for the past 4 years, and finished the 2017 season in 13th position, so was not considered a credible premiership chance at the start of the year. Despite this, the club produced its best season since 2012, finishing third. Collingwood faced in Perth in its qualifying final, and led at various stages of the match before being overrun in the last quarter to lose by 16 points. They rebounded to defeat in the second semi-final by 10 points, then had an upset win against reigning premiers by 39 points in the preliminary final to advance to the Grand Final. Entertainment. As pre-match entertainment, the Black Eyed Peas performed a number of their hit singles, including Where Is the Love, Let's Get It Started, I Got a Feeling, and their new single, Big Love. Filipino singer Jessica Reynoso filled in on vocals for former band member Fergie. Their set was followed by singer Jimmy Barnes, who started his performance with a rendition of Flame Trees. Mike Brady performed his own traditional Grand Final song, Up Dekazali, while the national anthem was sung by Mahalia Barnes, Jimmy Barnes' daughter. First quarter. Collingwood dominated most of the opening quarter. West Coast spearhead Josh Kennedy had the first score of the game behind before the Magpies scored the first 5 goals of the game. The first goal came from Travis Varco at the 5-minute mark, followed by 2 in quick succession from young forward Jaden Stevenson, one from Jordan De Goey at the 16-minute mark, and another from Will Hoskin-Elliott after 22 minutes, ballooning the margin to 29 points. West Coast scored 2 late goals in the final couple of minutes of the quarter to reduce the margin to 17 points at quarter time. The first, after 27 minutes, was scored from a ricochet off Willie Rialis' shin on the goal line and needed a video review to uphold the on-field decision. And the latter was scored by Kennedy from a set shot in the 29th minute. Second quarter. The second quarter was a low-scoring affair, with only 2 behinds scored during the first 20 minutes of the quarter, one from West Coast's Mark Hutchings at the 4-minute mark, and a rushed behind to Collingwood almost 18 minutes into the term. De Goey broke the drought with his second goal of the afternoon, restoring Collingwood's lead to a relatively comfortable 23 points. But, as in the opening quarter, the Eagles scored 2 late goals, one from Hutchings at the 22-minute mark, and the other from Luke Shuey at the 26-minute mark, to reduce Collingwood's lead to only 12 points at half-time. Third quarter. West Coast and Collingwood traded goals in the third quarter. A very early goal to Kennedy inside the first minute of the quarter reduced the margin to 6 points, before tall forward Mason Cox kicked a goal in the 5th minute to restore Collingwood's 2-goal lead. Jamie Cripps kicked a goal for West Coast in the 8th minute. Then Taylor Adams kicked one for Collingwood only a minute later, again restoring the Magpies' lead to 2 goals. Jack Darling scored his first goal of the match 9 minutes later to bring the margin back to a goal. In the 21st minute, a pivotal moment in the match occurred. Adams attempted to clear the ball from Collingwood's backline with a dangerous kick to Stevenson, a centre-half back. Collingwood runner Alex Woodward then accidentally impeded Stevenson's access to the marking contest, giving West Coast midfielder Elliot Yeo an uncontested intercept mark from which he kicked a 50-metre set shot and put West Coast ahead for the first time since the beginning of the game. There were no more goals in the quarter, with the Magpies initially edging ahead once again with 3 consecutive behinds in time on, and Shuey levelling the scores at 8.7 apiece with a late behind. Fourth quarter. The final term started off rapidly, with 3 goals scored within the first 4 minutes. Collingwood started the quarter with Brody Myercheck kicking a goal off the opening passage of play after just 34 seconds. And De Goey scoring his 3rd goal for the match only a minute later to extend the margin to 12 points. Nathan Vardy kicked a goal at the 3-minute mark to bring the deficit back to 6 points. Cox scored his 2nd goal at the 7-minute mark to extend the margin back to 11. And Kennedy responded with his 3rd goal 90 seconds later to bring the deficit back to 5. The Eagles dominated the contest from this point forward, at one point leading the inside 50 count for the quarter 14-3, but repeatedly failed to convert, as 4 consecutive shots at goal in the middle portion of the quarter were behinds, narrowing the margin to 1 point. Collingwood's final score of the game, a behind, came from Hoskin Elliott in the 22nd minute. With less than 3 minutes remaining, West Coast put together a sequence of play from a defensive rebound which ended with a mark in the forward pocket to Dom Sheed, from a distance of about 25 metres. And almost on the boundary line, Sheed kicked a goal to put West Coast in front by 4 points with less than 2 minutes left. West Coast attacked again from the ensuing centre clearance. Darling dropped an uncontested mark almost on the goal line and Collingwood managed to force a behind to extend the margin to 5 points inside the final minute. Collingwood could not rebound the ensuing kick-in, and the siren sounded to give West Coast a 5-point win. Teams. The teams were announced on the 27th of September 2018. Both sides went into the match unchanged from their preliminary final teams. The umpiring panel, comprising 3 field umpires, 4 boundary umpires, 2 goal umpires, and an emergency in each position is given below. Numbers in brackets represent the number of grand finals umpired, including 2018. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?